Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to check out the medium. Hey guys, what is happening? Hope you guys are having a super fantastic day today. Real quick, before we get started with this video, it may or may not contain spoilers. I'm going to try to keep it spoiler free. But as I said in like other videos, once you start talking about things, I might accidentally slip, a spoiler. So that's my spoiler warning for you because I can't keep my mouth shut. So also, hopefully this mic sounds okay. We're in the process of moving stuff, so my normal setup for recording videos is kind of not necessarily packed up just yet, but it's all everywhere, and I got a bunch of boxes right behind this camera. So recording's a little different today. But without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, the Medium is a Xbox, I guess, temporary exclusive. It was, I want to say, I'm not sure if it was a launch title or not. I just remember hearing about it. And I was like, hey, the second I get an Xbox, one of the newer Xboxes, I'm definitely going to play that game. Definitely going to play that game. Jeez, I cannot talk today. And I do understand that this is also coming to Xbox, I believe, in September, something like that. So it was just a temporary, but the Medium was a great game. Wasn't a super long game. I think it only took me about 7-8 hours to complete, but it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. Like with all my other videos, we'll go through some pros and some cons. We'll start with some of the good stuff. There's not too much bad stuff, but it is kind of big stuff that we definitely need to talk about. So the story is, I think the story is really good. Like I said, it's called the Medium, and the reason it's called that is because there's certain individuals that have like almost like a near-death experience, and so they're able to kind of cross over to like this hellish side and help certain spirits, if they know their name and whatnot, cross over. Well, doing so also gives you lots of powers, lots of abilities. I won't spoil too much on that, but the story itself is really good. It's a very like sci-fi, like mystery / horror. It's really good at combining like all those elements together. It's kind of like a mixture of like Control and Resident Evil 2. With like the trying to figure out the mystery, and then also Resident Evil as in like, because there are things that chase you and there's scary demons. There's not really any combat in this game, so if you're looking for like a game where you like fight a bunch of people and very action / combat oriented, this is definitely not the game for you. This is definitely much more like mystery, solving puzzles. I just say it's like a mystery game. That's the best way to describe it. Like a psychological horror game. Super good. I really like this kind of stuff. I don't always necessarily have to play like those big shooters, those big action games, those games that have crazy combat. Even though I do love all those games, it's nice to have a different type of game. So I do like the visual approach that they took. There's certain parts of the game where excuse me, where it shows what you see like on the other side. It's almost kind of like Stranger Things, where there's like the upside down, but this, I kind of refer to it as the mirror world because she can access it by going through mirrors. But there's certain points in the game where she interacts with certain characters, and it kind of does like a split screen, either down or across, and it shows both perspectives. It shows her, and I'm smacking my mic because my camera is connected to the headphones. It shows like her talking to characters in, I'm just going to call it the mirror world from now on, into the mirror world, and it also shows the perspective of what's going on in the real world. And sometimes there's like obstacles that she has to get across in either world to be able to progress the story. Like, for example, there's a part where you're going in an elevator, and the elevator doesn't work in the real world, and so you have to kind of use the spirit world or the mirror world to kind of figure out a way to get the elevator to work. So it kind of plays off both of each other. It's kind of hard to explain. Definitely will have visuals somewhere here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Another example is there's a part where you're following this girl in the mirror world, and she goes up these flight of stairs, and in the mirror world, there are stairs. The stairs are intact. She can run up. But in the real world, there are no stairs. So you have to kind of figure a way around it. Because she could see into this other dimension, her body is physically still in this other place, and so she still has to figure her way around it. And I really liked that. I really liked showing like the double side. I was constantly like swiveling my head, like looking at both. And there's artifacts and things to find, puzzles for different clues, stuff like that in both worlds. And so it really kind of keeps you engaged at looking at both. And it's really cool to see the perspective in both as well. I think that this game did a really good job at being scary and creepy. As you get pretty early in the game, you'll encounter like this really like skinny demon looking thing. And it does a good job at looking creepy. This demon thing looks freaking scary. It's got like really long skinny arms, really like tall. I don't know, it's just really skinny and like, I don't know, very creepy. Has big old wings, and it says like the creepiest stuff. Like there's parts where it's saying that it wants to wear your face, it wants to wear your skin as a suit, like super creepy stuff like that. And then there's this part where it like screeches and it's like chasing you because it's like it wants to wear your face, and you're just running down these hallways trying to get away from it. So it is very intense, very good on that part. I thought they did great job making the game scary. There are some parts of the game that were visually very beautiful. Like they did you could tell they worked really hard on, well, I think developers worked really hard on all the game as a whole, but there's definitely certain parts that I feel like they gave extra care to because the visuals looked really good. Like where there's parts where she's kind of having like these like migraine, like headache things, and it kind of shows the world behind her like flash between the two different realities. And I thought that was very well done. Looked visually beautiful. Let's see, what else did I put? Let's see. Oh, and then yeah, the cliffhanger at the end, I'm not going to explain it, but basically there's like a choice. There's something happening where she has to destroy the demon, right? Because the demon you meet fairly early in the game is kind of an imposing threat throughout the entire game. There's like sections where you go through and this demon basically is getting so powerful that it's able to cross over to the real world and actually kill people. But since he's from the mirror world, you can't actually see him unless you're in the mirror world itself. So he's like invisible. So there's parts where you have to use your abilities to like sense where he's at because he's actually invisible because he's not supposed to be in that world. But anyways, at the end, there's a part where you have to kill him. And it's basically either kill him or you kill yourself, basically, because the monster wants you, and once it takes you, it's able to fully cross over into this real world and stay there. Because I forgot to mention, you can cross over into the mirror world and not like fully cross over. You could just send your I guess your spirit. The game doesn't really explain. Maybe it does and I just missed it. But you can only stay for so long before either you die or you have to basically pull your soul back into the real world. So I'm guessing that it's the same concept with this demon. He can only stay in the real world for so long before he has to return back to the mirror world. But the whole game is him trying to get our main protagonist, because if he wears her skin, jumps into her body, however he does it, he's able to stay in this real world. And at the end, it kind of, I guess this is kind of spoiler territory, but it doesn't actually answer anything, so I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. But basically, right as you have a chance to either kill this demon. I mean, there's more to this demon, but I'm definitely not going to spoil that because it was kind of a jaw dropper for me. So definitely go play this if you guys haven't. But basically, it comes to a point where you either kill this demon or you basically kill yourself to stop what's going on, because she realizes that, hey, if I just kill myself, this guy can never cross over into the real world. He's stuck here, basically trapped. But he's such an imposing threat, the game doesn't make you feel like you can actually beat it. But there's this point where it looks like you could beat both, like you don't know what's happening, and then it shows her like eyes, and it has like the split screen. It shows half her face in the real world and half her face in the mirror world, and then all of a sudden she closes she doesn't close her eyes, but the screen goes black and you hear a gunshot, and you're like, I don't know, did she kill the demon or did she kill herself? Who knows? So it doesn't actually answer anything. So I really enjoyed the cliffhangers. There's a few like plot twists throughout the game. For instance, there's this one guy that I totally thought was a bad guy at first, but he wasn't a bad guy. He was actually a good guy trying to kill these bad guys. So lots of plot twist, lots of good stuff. Let's move on to some of the cons because we got some big ones to cover here. First thing is the controls. I do wish that we had a little bit more freedom with the controls. As like on the Xbox, I don't know about PC. Maybe it's not so bad with PC. But I know with like the controller on the Xbox, you know, you got your one analog that kind of helps with movement, and then you typically have the other analog that helps like with the head swivel, the camera, right? Well, in this game, they kind of get rid of the looking around part. Like you move around, but it's very linear. It makes you go certain ways, and it doesn't let you. I just wish that there's more freedom with the controls, because I would have loved to like look around like Resident Evil, look around, look at all the stuff, look at all the creepy stuff, especially when you're in the mirror world. But it really doesn't. It just kind of, you could literally play, you literally only play this game with that one movement joystick, and then the camera is automatic. It's fixed the way that developers wanted you to see it. So I just kind of wish that there's a little bit more freedom with the controls. There are abilities in the game, and they're pretty cool. Though my only issue is that I wish that we dove a little bit deeper into those abilities. You can really kind of see the potential that these abilities could have, but I think that they weren't trying to go for like a combat-oriented game, because there's really no combat, and the combat that there is in cutscenes. So, like for instance, you can summon like this, almost like a force field, because there's like these moths, and then they basically attack your spirit until you die. So you have to use the shield to protect yourself. What are some of the other ones? You don't use this with your main character, but there's a point in the game where you play as another male character that you thought was a bad guy, just to kind of see his point of view, to see what's going on. And he's able to do some stuff that our main character can't, like move objects, almost not quite like the Force, and not quite like Control, where she could just pick them up and move them. Basically, you could see like the light surrounding it, and he just kind of like moves them away, or pushes them away, or pulls them down. So I just wish that there was a little bit deeper into the abilities, because I just kind of felt like they were there, but it wasn't really necessary for some of the stuff. Like basically the powers were only there just to kind of get you over certain like roadblock obstacles that weren't the enemy. They were just like, oh, let's move these boxes out of the way so I can keep walking forward. Oh, let me do a force field so these moths don't attack me. And then there's like a blast that you can do, like you could charge, there's like electricity stuff on the wall to help generate power for generators, and basically you like shock it or whatever. So I just wish there's a little bit more depth to these abilities, because they seemed pretty shallow, at least to me. And then the last thing that I thought was kind of a big thing, I said this, the opposite of this earlier, is that some of the graphics were very good, some of the scenes were very beautiful, but then almost the exact opposite. There are certain parts of the game that the frame rate just dropped super low. The quality just went down really bad. Thankfully, it wasn't in too many spots. There was a few like little spots here and there. Basically, every time like a camera switched angles, it was almost like a new different part of the game. For instance, you're in this level called the Red House. And once you go in, it's like the house is burnt down, but it's called the Red House. And once you go in, it's all fine, but you turn around the corner and you're looking a certain way, and then everything in that little spot, like the quality is really low. My character, when I'm moving around, is very like choppy. But then when I turned around the other corner in this house, or go down the stairs, same house, and you could see the same stuff in the background, the quality went right back up. So it almost seemed like they just had trouble with this particular part. There's a few other parts, but that's like the one that's fresh in my mind, was that scene in the Red House where just like the frames just dropped really bad. And I tried to reboot it because I thought, oh, maybe, I don't have a good internet connection, because I was doing this on the Xbox. You know, even though I know that's not necessarily why it was, but you know, I'm just trying to troubleshoot everything. I restarted the game, hopefully maybe that would work, and it was every single time that specific area just had really low frame rates and quality drops. So that's actually it for all the things that I really disliked. Overall, you know, the story was really good. I loved the mystery. I loved solving all the puzzles. I loved trying to piece together what actually happens, because you start out just knowing nothing. You don't know anything about your abilities. You don't know really who you are, basically, because something happened. Like I said, I won't spoil too much, but like you have a traumatic experience when you're younger, and your brain kind of suppressed a lot of those memories, and so it's you trying to piece together your past. So a lot of really cool mysteries, a lot of memories that you will unlock is super cool. Like I said, just wish that there was a little bit more depth to the combat. Wish there was a little bit more freedom with the controls, and then just the frame rate drops. But overall, super fantastic game. I freaking loved it. I would definitely say it is 100% worth the playthrough. I said this at the beginning. I believe it is a Xbox timed exclusive, because I do know that it is coming to PlayStation, I believe, in September. So it won't be long for PlayStation users. If you guys are a PlayStation user, to play this game, once it comes out, definitely suggest playing it, even if you're on PlayStation. Now, if I were to give this a score out of 10, it's a much smaller game, much smaller studio. I think it's Bloober Team. I've never heard of them. I looked up some games. I've literally never heard of any of their games before. And so just kind of looking at it, it's like a Polish studio, I believe. So a very small or smaller studio, nothing AAA or anything like that. But overall, a very solid game. Highly recommend. My review, I would give this an 8 out of 10, guys. Really good game. Definitely worth it. I do wish that it was a little bit longer, because I was just wanting more. That's how much I liked it. It's like once the story ends, it's like, no, I want more. Come on, keep coming. So, anyways, guys, that's going to end it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video. And, oh, I also forgot to mention, this is actually my very first Xbox review. Basically everything I've done in the past has all been PlayStation. I finally have both the Xbox and the PlayStation 5. So yeah, pretty excited. My very first Xbox review, game review. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for, you know, spending the time watching my videos. You guys are awesome, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.